Dev came up with a lot of guys that's good names, big names now, but y'all been crossing paths. Some of them fought, some of them didn't, but y'all know each other, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. People just don't be knowing it.
Right,
people have
course,
relationships.
Of course.
Tell me about the relationship with Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, they've been in the same weight class at certain times, then they won't be in the same weight class. They both doing their thing in their own respect. And it's like, is that relationship like, you just got two young lions that can't really...
I can't wait for him to stop talking. Shakur is on the list.
What this conversation really reveals is the mindset behind these elite fighters and why their relationships can be complicated when they are chasing the same goals. The question is simple. If two fighters are competing in the same space, trying to reach the same level, can they really stay close? Or do they have to step back and handle business first? According to this discussion, it has never been about disrespect. In fact, there is a clear understanding that the biggest fights in boxing happen when the best fighters are willing to face each other. And that is exactly why Devin Haney's name keeps coming up. When someone says they want Devin in the biggest and best fights, this conversation suggests that it is not just empty talk. There is a history of making bold predictions and then backing those words up inside the ring. The speaker even remembers telling people that Devin was going to walk down Vasily Lomachenko before the fight had fully played out. At the time, it sounded like a confident prediction, but as the fight developed, Devin continued applying pressure and making the strategy clear. By the later rounds, the message was basically the same. Keep pressing, keep making Lomachenko work, and don't give him the space to control the fight. That moment is important because it shows the confidence behind the team's mindset. They were not simply talking about making big fights. They believed Devin belonged in those moments and trusted him to execute the game plan. And that brings us back to the bigger picture. When you have fighters like Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson coming up through the sport at the same time, both chasing championships, recognition, and legacy, there is naturally going to be tension. They can respect each other's talent while still understanding that only one fighter can stand at the top. That is what makes this potential rivalry so fascinating for American boxing fans. It is not just about trash talk. It is about ambition, competition, and two elite fighters trying to prove that they belong among the very best. If these two eventually share the ring, all of that history, confidence, and unfinished business could make the matchup even bigger.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, is it just we can't be in really in the same space? We trying to get the same thing. We can holler later. Like, what's the relationship with Shakur?
No. We've out of respect of the fans, of the talent, asked and talked about the biggest and the best fights happen with the best fighters.
Right. So you mean that when you say that? When you say you want Devin in the biggest and best fights, that ain't just talk.
Just like when I walked up to you and told you that we were gonna walk Lomachenko down.
Yeah, you said it.
I can't, and right in the ring in the middle of the fight. I mean, right when they've been, wasn't that the announcing or we just got in the ring? And I looked over and I seen Dre and I seen Tim sitting there. And I walked over, I said, it's too late for him. Lomachenko and them was right there. I said, it's too late for him. Yeah. Devin about to step to his mom.
You said that.
Watch this.
You said that.
I said, yeah, it's too late for him. Boom. And when Dev, he came back and he said in the 8th round, he said, Dad, he's on to it. He's up on it. I said, it's too late. Go press it out. And in the 12th round, you know what I mean? Like the perfect getaway, we looked up in the rearview mirror and it wasn't chasing.
Conversation gets very serious because it focuses on what happens when a fighter reaches the biggest moment of his career and doesn't perform when it matters most. The speaker is talking about the Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko fight and specifically points to the 12th round. His argument is simple. When you are fighting for undisputed status, every single round matters, especially the final round. From his perspective, if a fighter fails to show up in that final moment, then he has to accept responsibility for what happened instead of blaming the judges afterward. That is why he pushes back against the constant robbery discussion surrounding the fight. He believes fans often judge a fight from highlights or emotional reactions, while fighters and trainers understand that boxing is about controlling the moment when the pressure is at its highest. His message is basically about accountability. If you believe you should have one, then the answer is not to complain. It is to look in the mirror and ask what you could have done differently. That mindset becomes even more powerful when he talks about disappointment. He suggests that a fighter who knows he was physically capable of performing but failed to deliver can sometimes be more disappointed in himself than anyone else could be. And that is where the conversation takes a personal turn. He explains that throughout his own life, there was one person who would always tell him the truth without protecting his feelings: his father. That kind of honesty can be difficult to hear, but in boxing, it can also be one of the most valuable forms of guidance. The bigger lesson here is that elite fighters cannot always depend on excuses when things go wrong. Judges can make controversial decisions, fans can argue online, and analysts can debate the scorecards, but ultimately, a fighter has to live with his performance inside the ring. For American boxing fans, that is what makes this discussion so compelling. Talent can get you to the biggest stage, but discipline, execution, and accountability are what determine what happens when the championship is on the line.
Yeah. You heard what I said. I said in the 12th round, in the biggest fight, for undisputed,
That's what won
for some
that
people
12th round.
in 12th round, he wasn't there. So when everybody come back and say it was a robbery, it was right. If you ain't fighting in the 12th round, then what do that say about you? You know what I mean? So he has something to go cry about.
That robbery talk, man, these folks don't understand. They just don't understand how the game works. And if you don't show up in that 12th round, in that moment, that's on you, brother.
What would a grown man go and cry about?
Yeah.
Disappointment. And himself. Anytime that it would be out of, damn,
Yeah.
you're not hurt?
Yeah.
So as a man, what are you in there doing? You're not hurt. You know what I mean? Because you're disappointed in yourself. You know what I mean? And there were times that I know that.
Devin Haney, Truth, Accountability, and the Amateur Years. This story gives us a much deeper look at the relationship between Devin Haney and the person who was willing to give him the truth when nobody else would. The speaker explains that he believed it was his responsibility to be completely honest with Devin, even when the truth was difficult to hear. He remembers Devin coming back to the car after amateur fights and asking, "What did you think?" Instead of automatically telling him that he looked great, the response was completely different. He told Devin to look at himself in the visor mirror and asked a few simple questions. "Were you hurt? Were you marked up? Were you tired?" Devin's answer was no. And then came the real message: "You didn't leave it in the ring." That line says a lot about the mentality required to become an elite fighter. The point wasn't that Devin had lost or performed terribly. The point was that if you finish a fight without giving everything you have, then there is always another level you can reach. This kind of honesty can be uncomfortable, especially for a young fighter who wants to hear that he did everything right. But having someone around you who refuses to sugarcoat the truth can be extremely valuable. Instead of protecting Devin's feelings, the goal was to make him better. That lesson goes beyond boxing. A fighter can have talent, speed, skills, and a great team, but if nobody is willing to tell him the truth, he may never discover what he is truly capable of. For Devin, these moments in the amateur years were about learning accountability and understanding that there is always a difference between simply winning a fight and giving everything you have inside the ring. And sometimes, the person telling you the hardest truth can also be the person helping you build the strongest version of yourself.
There's only one man that ever came into my life and told me the truth, the 100% truth, and that's with my dad. I'm the guy in Devin's life that I believe that will tell him 100% of the truth. And there's been times as an amateur, and you know, where he gets back in the car and we ride, and he's like, "So what you think?"
Yeah.
I was like, well, look at you. Yeah. He was like, "What?" I was like, "Dude, look in the," I told him, "Pull down the visor." He pulled down the visor. I said, "Are you lumped up? Are you marked up?" He's no. I said, "Are you tired?" He says, "No." I said, "Well, you didn't leave it in the ring."
Devin Haney, Truth, Accountability, and the Amateur Years. The message here is very clear. When Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson are competing around the same weight division, there is no real peace inside the ring. Outside of boxing, they can respect each other, shake hands, and move on like normal people. But once competition enters the picture, everything changes. According to this conversation, Shakur is already on Devin's list of potential opponents. And that means the competitive rivalry is still alive. The important distinction is that this isn't necessarily personal hatred. It is business. In boxing, fighters can be friends outside the ring and still become serious opponents once they are chasing the same championships and the same legacy. The speaker even points out that Shakur has friendships with other fighters, which can make certain matchups less likely. But when it comes to Devin, the mentality is different. If two elite fighters are in the same division and both want to become the best, eventually they have to consider each other as potential opponents. And that is what makes Haney versus Stevenson such an interesting matchup for American boxing fans. Both fighters have openly built their careers around the idea of becoming more than just champions. They want to be remembered among the greatest fighters of their generation. They both have a path toward that goal, but the road to boxing greatness requires taking on elite competition. You cannot claim to be one of the best ever while avoiding the best fighters around you. That is why this rivalry matters. Devin has his own vision of greatness. Shakur has his own vision of greatness. And eventually those two paths could collide. Outside the ring, they can respect each other. They can shake hands and keep things professional. But inside the ring, the objective is completely different. There can only be one winner, and every elite fighter who wants a place among boxing's all-time greats has to be willing to take that challenge. So when they say it's always up, it doesn't necessarily mean personal hatred. It means competitive business, legacy, and the relentless pursuit of greatness.
Ain't nobody to be mad at but you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So back to the Shakur thing, man. Is it peace or is it still up? Cause y'all around the same weight class. And I don't mean personally. I'm saying competitively on a boxing level.
Well, of course. I mean, it's always up. You know what I mean?
So you retire.
We put him on the list. You know what I'm saying? He knows what being on the list means it's up because he's not gonna put Keyshawn on the list, and Keyshawn's not gonna put him on the list because they're friends, right? It's not up.
But
With us.
Dev and Shakur was friends too at one point.
But that's not. It's always up. You in boxing, we're in around the same division. You know what I mean? And that's never changed. You know what I mean? Of course, outside the ring, right? We see Core, we dap him up. You know what I'm saying? And all the stuff. You know, no, of course. It's all business. And both of the guys quest to the Mount Rushmore of boxing because they both have a path to get there. It's not like Shakur is not going and trying to be the best, one of the best ever. Devin is trying to be one of the best ever. And in that pursuit, you have an opportunity to really show how great you are.
Devin Haney, truth, accountability, and the amateur years. Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney could be difficult to make, but it also makes one thing very clear. Shakur is willing to compromise if the matchup is big enough. Shakur points out that Devin currently has a belt at 147 pounds, while he holds a belt at 140. Instead of demanding that Devin come all the way down or agreeing to move all the way up to 147, Shakur believes there is a much more realistic solution. Meet somewhere in the middle. His proposal is around 144 pounds. And from his perspective, that makes perfect sense. Shakur says he respects Devin and considers him a great fighter, but he doesn't believe that automatically means he should give Devin every advantage. This is where the competitive side of the rivalry becomes important. Shakur sees himself as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in boxing, so he wants the matchup to be negotiated fairly. He is willing to move up for a major fight, but he wants Devin to meet him halfway. The bigger picture is that both fighters are chasing legacy. They came up together as amateurs. They know each other well, and now they are both reaching the stage of their careers where major fights can define their names in boxing history.
And, you know, that's what that is.
Mm-hmm. Another name that you keep getting linked with is Devin Haney. Another fighter you got a lot of history with, came up in the amateurs with. It's a fight that's gonna get hard to get made because of the weight difference. Is that how you see it?
I mean, I just feel like, see how you just said, like what you said about the belts, right? I agree. Like, I feel the same way about the belts. I appreciate them also.
It's a place for it.
For everything that they did. But when we're talking about like a Devin Haney fight, he got a belt at 147 pounds. I got a belt at 140 pounds. I'm willing to move around and meet at certain weights if the fight is that big and is that serious. And I'm down. Like, I'm all for making the biggest and best fights happen, but I'm not just about to just give you what you want. Like, who are you for me to, and no disrespect to Devin, like, Devin, you're a hell of a fighter, but who are you for me to just be like, oh, I'm gonna give you exactly, I'm pound for pound one of the best fighters in the sport of boxing, bro. What I gotta go to 147 for you for when me and you could meet in the middle? We could meet 144.
That's what you proposing. 44.
Let's do it. What's the problem? I don't see the issue. You just hold up. Let's remember correctly.
Devin Haney, Truth, Accountability, and the Amateur Years. Shakur Stevenson, let's make the fight. Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson fight to another level, because now we are hearing about actual discussions between the teams. Jay and Bill Haney were reportedly talking about the weight, and the number 144 pounds came up. But Bill's position was clear. Devin believes he is the best fighter at 147 pounds and doesn't want to move down. From Shakur's perspective, that raises an obvious question. If both sides are serious about making the fight, why haven't they simply sat down and negotiated directly? Shakur says there is no reason they need to use a television show or an interview to communicate. The teams already have each other's numbers, so they could have a real business conversation whenever they want. But Shakur also understands that boxing is a business, and he is not going to wait forever. He believes he is still growing and moving toward the 147-pound division, while he doesn't necessarily see Devin moving beyond 147 to 154 pounds anytime soon. That changes the situation completely. If Shakur eventually reaches 147 naturally, the weight issue could disappear and the fight could become even bigger. Shakur's mindset is basically that he has time. He can continue developing, move up when he is ready, and eventually arrive at the weight where Devin is comfortable. And when that happens, the fight could become a massive event for boxing. There is money involved, championships could be involved, and most importantly, legacy would be on the line. The conversation then takes a funny turn when Bill Haney's famous list comes up. Bill had previously said Shakur was on the list of potential opponents, and Shakur jokes that he didn't even realize there was a list. But being on that list apparently came with a warning. Devin supposedly viewed Shakur as easy work. That statement adds another layer to the rivalry, because now the question is no longer simply whether these two fighters want to fight. It becomes a question of confidence. Devin's team believes Shakur can be beaten, while Shakur clearly believes he belongs in the same elite conversation. For American boxing fans, that is exactly the type of storyline that can turn a potential matchup into a major event. Two highly skilled fighters, years of history, different weight class positions, and now both sides publicly talking about whether the fight can actually happen. The only thing missing is a contract.
For Brian Norman, and before that fight, he fought Jose Ramirez. When he fought Jose Ramirez, the weight was at 144 pounds. So if he's fighting at 144 pounds against Jose Ramirez 2 fights ago, what is the problem with fighting me at 144 pounds? That's how I look at it.
And the Haneys, their stance is they don't want to go past 147.
I mean, that's what they say, but like I said, once again, we could sit at the table and negotiate, and that has never even happened yet. Bill is I'm not gonna say he a cool guy. He be tweaking on the internet. But I respect Bill. Like, I respect Bill for what he do for his son. I don't mind sitting at a real table, me, you, Devin, Jay, and we could sit there and negotiate and find what's right for the fight to happen. Let's do it. We all businessmen. We all could handle our own at the business table. So that's how I look at it. Like, I see Devin Haney as a hell of a fighter. I see Bill as a hell of a businessman. But if y'all really about y'all business and that's what y'all want, let's make it happen.
Jay.
Devin Haney, Truth, Accountability, and the Amateur Years. Shakur Stevenson, let's make the fight. Shakur Stevenson's direct response to the idea that Devin Haney could simply walk him down and make the fight look easy. Shakur's answer is immediate. Absolutely not. He makes it clear that he does not see himself as easy work for anybody in boxing. He has heard the comments coming from Devin's side, including the talk about walking him down. But Shakur believes there is a big difference between talking confidently and actually stepping into the ring. What makes his response even more interesting is the history he has with Bill Haney. Shakur points out that Bill has known him since he was coming up as a young fighter and believes Bill already knows exactly what kind of fighter he is. According to Shakur, he may have even been one of Bill's favorite fighters during those early years. So when Bill talks about Shakur being easy work, Shakur clearly believes there is more to the story. He respects Devin Haney and openly calls him a great fighter with a strong mentality. He is not pretending that Devin would be an easy opponent either. In fact, Shakur says the opposite. He believes neither fighter would have an easy night against the other. That is what makes this potential matchup so exciting. Shakur says he has dedicated his entire life to boxing, trained extremely hard.
Bill, they was on $1 million worth of game.
Yeah.
Jay, they called Jay on the phone, and it wasn't a negotiation, but they started talking about the weight.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Jay had mentioned, 144. Bill was like, Dev is the best fighter at 147. In other words, we're not interested in going down. What is stopping for y'all to get into a real negotiation?
I don't know what's stopping it. I mean, if they serious and it's that, they shouldn't even have to go. We don't got to go through $1 million. No disrespect to Gilly. That's my guy.
But that just happened. That wasn't a real year.
We got each other's number. Well, I don't have Devin, but Bill and Jay got each other's number. We could set this up and it could be that. But once again, this is how I look at it. If they not saying right now, let's fight, then I'm going to grow. Like, I'm still growing. I'm still getting bigger, and I don't see Devin getting past 147 pounds. I don't see him going to 154. He could say whatever it is, but, like, I don't see him getting in the ring with no boots. Like, I don't see that. So if that's the case, I got time to get to that 147 pounds. So if it's that, and I'm gonna get there when I get there.
Man, that's a big fight for the sport of boxing.
Let's do it.
That's a whole lot of money on the table. And you know, I had Bill on the show, I think in January. Bill said, you on the list. I said, Bill, what list? He said, the list. You ain't know he was on the list?
Yeah.
I didn't know he had a list. At least I knew he had a list, but I didn't know your name was on the list.
Yeah.
Then he went from saying you was on the list to, you know, saying you was easy work.
Yeah.
Shakur is easy work for Devin.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Are you easy work for anybody?
Hell no. Hell no. Honestly, I was listening to it and I watched it. I seen the things he was saying, like, oh, we gonna walk him down and all of these things. So, I mean, all of it sounds good, but like deep down inside, Bill know. Like, he know. He know who I am.
Y'all got history.
He know. Yeah. I was probably one of Bill's favorite fighters coming up. Like, he could say whatever he want. Cameras out right now. They could go somewhere. So, Bill, I was one of your favorite fighters. He know it. Devin know it. Like, Devin used to kind of, he know, they know. So that's how I feel. Like, you could say whatever you want, but I respect Devin, and I think Devin is a great fighter. He got a great mentality. I don't think he's not an easy night for nobody.
That's what I told Bill. I said, I don't think it's easy for either fighter, bro. I said,
but I ain't easy work.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I'm not easy. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way. I train too hard. I dedicate myself. I've been born for this since a kid. So all of these guys, any of them, let's do it.
Man, that's a fight I want to see, man. I hope y'all figure it out on the weight side, man. I think that's a great fight, legacy, great fight money-wise. And that's the fight. Like, I've been in H-Town probably just, you know, not even 24 hours, and I already hear y'all names. Think like, man, this is what I want to see Shakur fight is Devin.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the fight. So, you know, but you know, Bill gonna pop his whip. Bill gonna talk. Bill gonna do his thing.
He's doing his business. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do.
Devin Haney, Truth, Accountability, and the Amateur Years. Shakur Stevenson, let's make the fight. So there you have it. The Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson rivalry has everything boxing fans want. History, confidence, elite talent, big money, and a legacy that could be changed forever by one fight. Both fighters believe they belong among the best, and neither one seems interested in backing down. Now it comes down to the business side. Can both teams finally agree on the weight, the money, and the terms to make this fight happen? If Haney and Shakur eventually meet in the ring, all the talking stops, and only one fighter gets to prove who is truly better. Let us know in the comments. Who wins Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more boxing news, fight breakdowns, and the biggest matchups in the sport.